Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Stately Office Hours. This is where us, the team at Stately, walk you through everything that we've been working on with Stately Studio and with XState. We have got so much to share with you. I know we've been saying this the last few office hours. It's because this release is so big. It's just taken a little while longer, but we promise we're going to give you some more sneak peeks today. But what we do is we thought we would start off. Before I get into showing you exciting things, who we are. I'm Laura. I do advocacy and education for Stately. David?
Hey, I'm David, founder at Stately, creator of XState, and constantly busy.
And Nick?
I'm Nick, and I do product design.
And Matej?
I'm Matej, the friendly ghost of Stately, fixing a few bugs here and there.
He's in the bowels of XState. Fixing things all the time. So what I was getting onto is that while we have things coming next week, hopefully next week, that we're going to share with you, because we've got the holiday weekend coming up, we thought we would show you just a few little things that you can play with already. So David, would you like to give us some demos?
Sure, yeah. And I am using the new design, which Nick is going to talk about next, but this is stuff that's both coming soon and stuff that's already present in production. So the first thing is that before, when you used to make self-transitions, there were lots of lines overlapping each other. And so we made a quick change that makes it a lot simpler to view these self-transitions, or at least the lines here, by just doubling up on them there. Now, it will still loop around if you put it on a corner, for instance, but this makes it a lot easier to see many self-transitions next to each other. And just a reminder, self-transitions are very useful when you want an event to just do something without it actually changing states. And this is useful, for example, if you're migrating from Redux, then you could just think of your state machine as just one big state, and the events, you could actually do things with them. So yeah, that's the new event design. It's the new self-transition design, and it works both top to bottom, left to right. Yeah, but what I also want to mention is something that is coming up soon, and that is a new routing improvement. So it's not really an overhaul of anything. But before, there was a lot of overlap. Like if I go to state.new, then you might have seen a lot of, for example, overlap over states like this. And then it doesn't become too clear like where the arrows are actually going. Like, is it coming from this state? You could sort of tell by the gap here that it's actually coming from this state. And you could tell by the arrow that it's going to this state. But if this is out of frame and you're looking at it like this, then it becomes a lot less clear. Now, of course, the new design makes it such that it is a little bit translucent, so you could actually see the arrows going through. But we've also changed the algorithm a little bit such that it actually moves out of the way. So it is much more aware. It's not always going to avoid, it's going to do a best effort, but it is going to try to avoid intersecting states whenever possible. So if I move it here, you could see it even goes under this state, avoids this state, and just wraps over here. Now, the reason that we don't try to make it avoided in 100% of cases is because it actually, surprisingly becomes a lot harder to read arrows if it's just snaking through states. And you're like, okay, this is like navigating through a maze. So we try to minimize the number of bends. And at the same time, we just try to, find the path that looks the nicest, even though there might be some intersections. But now we're trying as hard as we can to minimize those intersections. So those are, yeah.
If we do have intersections, there is something that Nick has added that maybe he will show you in a few minutes that solves that problem as well. But yeah, I love the new self-transitions as well. It's becoming a really common pattern to have a lot of self-transitions off of one state. And I think Kevin and I have been referring to it as like the hub and spoke model, or maybe the a pattern of was that the flower petal pattern or something like that. But it is really common, and this has already had a big impact on the readability of a bunch of our much larger machines that are often made up of interconnected states that themselves have a lot of self transitions on them.
Exactly.
Well, great. So as oh, you have something else that you want to share with us? I don't know if you've got a visual example for this, David, but we've also added a whole bunch of new server-side examples to the XState repo, haven't we?
Yeah, and I do have an example of that. Let me just present my screen again and actually find the window where it's at. We need some hold music or something. Just trying to find that real quick. I believe...
A little delayed transition with a countdown timer on it. It just counts down in these moments.
Yeah. Okay. So you might have noticed, or you might have read our latest blog post by Laura, that we now, and ignore all of these. I'm actually in a different branch right now. But now we have a lot of server-side examples. And so these are actually taken from the serverless, the CNCF, Cloud Native Computing Foundation serverless workflow examples. And we've covered 25 of them. There's 28, so there's still a few more to go. And I just had to find time to do that. But now we have a bunch of server-side examples where we take those workflows. And we have a link to each one inside of here. We're going to be changing the readmes of each of them and actually showing like all of the information for them. But yeah, so now we have serverless workflows, and the way these work is a little bit different than how you would run, or how you would actually use a machine in a front-end app, for instance. You might imagine this just running in a node context. We are going to have examples where it runs in a serverless context. For example, if you have a long-running workflow where you want to interrupt it and not make it run forever. And the way it's executed is pretty simple too. We interpret it. These are in XState version 5 beta, by the way. Subscribe to it, start it, and send to it. Now, the way that node works, it is going to only stop when, for example, there are no more active timers or things being awaited. So it is going to run this workflow to completion, which is pretty nice. In this example, we have a new patient event where John Doe has a broken arm, and that's the event that's being sent. So I actually want to see if this will work, because I want to show you. This is actually one of my favorite examples here because it shows a very common server-side pattern. So if we cd to workflow, new, and also all of the workflow examples start with workflow. And if we do npm start, then I actually have to install it. So let me just install that real quick. I'm using pnpm because it's a lot faster. And npm start, even though it's very hard to type. So it's going to send the event, and you'll notice that it says retrying. So it retried, got service not available, and I'll show you what's happening over there. Retry is a very common pattern to do in server-side workflows. Now, instead of baking that into XState, because Mateusz would get mad at me for introducing even more features, I show you in this example how flexible it is to actually use third-party libraries to do that. And one really good one, which is actually very inspired by a C# library called Poly, I believe, is called Cockatiel. And so Cockatiel allows you to wrap promises and apply a retry policy to them. And so in this case, when we get an error that has a type of service not available, we do a retry, and the backoff is a constant backoff. There's a couple different types of backoffs. There's constant backoff, and there's also exponential backoff, which if you've used Gmail and you are offline or in a shaky internet connection, you might have noticed that when it will try it for 30 seconds, then 2 minutes, then 10 minutes, etc. That's an exponential backoff. This is a constant backoff, which means that every retry, it's going to wait 3 seconds before actually retrying. And we're just logging when it's retrying. So yeah, I'm doing a fake probability over here. And so just to visualize what's happening over here, and this is the old design, when a new patient event happens, we have to do a few things according to this workflow. We have to store the patients, and this being a hospital system, you know that healthcare does have a lot of data tech. It might fail, so we're going to do retry over here, and then we're going to assign the doctor, and that might fail, and then we end. Or when that's done, we schedule the appointment, and so when that's done, the entire workflow is done. So yeah, this is represented in XState v5. And if I am able to move this over here, I just want to go to this invoke, because the way that we do invokes is new. You pass it in inputs, and then you could pass in any information over here. And then the way that that's brought in is by destructuring it inside from promise or from observable or anything like that. And then all you have to do is call retry policy.execute, and now you have your retry policy for your services. And so this really decouples it from XState. I'm actually pretty glad that we're not baking this in, because retry policies can get complicated, and we would rather you have full control over how you retry your executions than us trying to reinvent it. So yeah, that's an example of a server-side workflow.
Great. If you want to see all of the examples, you can, of course, go to the XState repo. We've also got a blog post at stately.ai/blog where I've listed all the examples by name, so it should be easy to navigate to them from there. So next up, Nick, let's show some exciting sneak peeks of what folks can expect, hopefully over the next week or so.
Yeah, so over the past, a couple months ago, 2 months ago, I guess, we showed a preview of what we've been working on for a new design. And we're hoping that will come out next week. And so we just want to kind of give an update of where it's at now. I'll go ahead and share my screen.
You can tell from David even using the new design in his demo. The problem is that now we've all started using it. The rest of us, we find it very hard to go back to the current one.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've been in this world for a few months now, and I'm always surprised when I end up in the current production version. Yeah, so basically, just to quickly kind of run through this, we went in more detail in a previous office hours if you're interested. But as a reminder, or if it's new to you, some of the things we'll be releasing in a week or so is, first of all, there is now colors. So if you select a state or a transition, you have this option up here where you can pick whatever color you want, and you get a nice little preview as you hover over it if you're using the mouse. And so let's make that pink, and we can make this one purple. And then same for transitions, where we can make that purple, let's say, because the source is purple. And yeah, so you can make this, let's make this, you can also do color in here. Let's make this, I don't know, blue. Okay, so that's one thing that we are going to be releasing, color. Another thing that's more of a theme that's kind of guided this work is wanting to do more on the canvas. So you should be able to design basically almost your whole flow on the canvas. And now, some of the details you might have to open up panels or might have to go to a sidebar, but for the most part, you should be able to do much of your design work on the canvas itself. And so part of what enables this is whenever you select a state or a transition, we've expanded the quick actions panel. So not only is there a color button, but there's also now here's the different types of data that you can add to a state, for example. So if we wanted to add a child state, we could do that. If we wanted to add a self-transition, one new feature, I believe it's new, is you can now add tags from XState. And again, so you can edit it on the canvas. So you can say it's a loading state. And then if you wanted to add a new one once it's there, you could say important. And of course, delete it. And likewise, you can add a description. So to add a description here, you can say this is the initial state of the machine. And of course, edit it there. So finally, we have the effects. And the three kinds of effects that we have in XState are we have actions, including entry actions and exit actions, and then invoked actors. What machine are you calling while you're in this state? And so like for an entry action, you can click that and then just type, let's say start, and wanted to add an exit action, we can call this one end. And once they're on here, you can interact with them directly. So you can rename it N2. You can copy it, actually. So if you wanted to copy and paste, I just hit Command C and Command V. You can delete it, just like you'd expect. So if you wanted to edit the details of an action, you can hover over the edit button here that shows up. And currently the form here is pretty minimal, but you can go ahead and if you wanted to change the type, we can make this an assign action, and we can add an assignment. We can say age 50. So now we have an XState assign action. If you want, we've also added support for other built-in XState actions with this release, including raise, log, send to, and stop. So let's see. Another feature that we have coming out soon is that I like a lot personally is you can show and hide the UI. And so you can just do this by, first of all, going up to the Stately menu in the left corner here and going to View and clicking Show Hide UI. And this just makes all of the Chrome go away. So you can just focus on your content. But you still have access to this menu if you wanted it. The easier thing to do is to just toggle it instantly with Command period. And so you can, I do this all the time where I'll just do Command period, remove everything, work, and then if I need some user interface, I'll just pop it back, do something, and then make it go away again. I love this feature. We also have a feature, it's optional. So like if we go to light mode to show this, for example, if you wanted to remove the background, the lines, we now support that. This is new. Right now we're showing the canvas grid, but we can hide the canvas grid. Like if you wanted to do like a screenshot and you didn't want the grid there, or just you didn't want to work with that today. But we do show the grid by default still. Yeah, so I think that's.
How about the translucency that we mentioned?
Yes.
Or we didn't mention earlier. I said that there was a feature that makes it easier when you have overlapping states and events.
So you can see it in light mode here, where whenever there's some overlap, you can still see what goes underneath, but it's blurred just a bit. And likewise in dark mode, you can still follow along with it, but it's just blurred a bit. And you get a little bit of translucency, more for a visual effect. With the panels. Now this is pretty subtle, but there is some.
I think this combined with the new line routing that David's implemented is going to make it so much easier if you've got a lot of transitions going on. It's between the two, it's really, really easy to see where everything's going.
Yeah. I guess one other small thing that's coming out soon, or may be out actually, I'm actually not sure, is we have a slight change to timers. So if we were to, let's say, change this type of this event to an after transition. So we've changed it so it now says the milliseconds and you type the milliseconds directly. I think this is largely just for consistency with code. And if you hover over it, you get a human readable form right now. But so if we were to type 1,000 milliseconds, that of course is 1 second. If we were to type 10,001, that would be 1.67 minutes. So, yeah, I think this is, this is just a quick run through of what we have coming out next week.
Yeah, I think that it's all very popular. We have, John said, frosted glass is even better than lens flare. I don't give Nick any ideas. We'll end up with lens flare in the studio too. Oh, and earlier John said about
lens
the color
flare is
picker.
pretty cool in a video game. I don't know if you Yeah. One other small change, I don't know why I'm showing it, is in simulate mode, the active arrows are now thicker. So I don't know, just a small thing, but I like that. Just kind of
I
makes.
hadn't seen that. I really love that. That's really helps.
Yeah, it's really subtle. It's not meant. You're not meant to notice it, but I think it helps a little bit. Cool.
So Cedric said, "I've missed the beginning, but all of that looks super cool and beautiful." And Nick says, "What does 1.67 mins mean, though?" Haha. Yeah, you got to try and pick yourself some good quantities of milliseconds if you want to get human readable timers. There's only so far that we can go with that.
Yeah, that's a good point, though. We could show seconds and minutes and like divide the times.
Yeah, or even just write minutes.
Add it as a feature request. We'll get to it.
We have been talking about potentially showing the human readable timer alongside the input as well, rather than requiring the tooltip. So maybe we could do something cool, like you click it and it toggles through different human readable formats at that time. I'm just coming up with design ideas on the fly here.
Yeah.
Oh, and that does remind me, if you do have any feature requests that you want to make, you can make them at feedback.stately.ai. There we have a roadmap of what we're currently working on. And you can also upvote other people's feature requests. And we use that to help us prioritize what we're going to work on next. Does anyone else, there we go, Scott says, consider that feature requested. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to add today? Folks, if you have any questions that you wanted to ask us, you can do that from YouTube, from Twitch, maybe even LinkedIn and Twitter. I can check those as well. In the meantime, I wanted to mention that, David, you will be speaking in a month and a bit at React Rally.
Yeah, that's right. My talk title is going to be Use What, so it's just going to be talking about React in general. I will mention state machines, of course, because I do it in every talk. But yeah, if you're there, please check me out. And
that is August the 17th to 18th.
Yes, that's right.
Now I've said that, I've just realized I don't know where.
Salt Lake City.
Yeah. Salt Lake City. Lovely. Oh, that would be nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I also wanted to mention that with some of the upcoming changes to the to Stately, we are also working hard on supporting XState version 5. So that's part of why development's taking a while. But yeah, we do want to both support people using XState v5 beta and people using XState v4. Primarily support will be for v4, but we'll have support for v5 soon.
Yeah, that's a question that people do keep asking us because they want to get using this great new release, and it will be nice to be able to use everything together. John says, these improvements are so nice, I almost don't want to complain about improving TypeScript support in the web UI. So this is one of the things that is in progress. And oh.
Yeah. Oh, Angela says, what does the upcoming new actor debugger look like, guys? Oh man, I wish I could show a preview. I'm in the wrong branch, but we do have sequence diagrams coming up. Gavin and I have been working on that, and yeah, that's going to be the next small release. Or I don't know if you think it's small or big, but yeah, we're going to have sequence diagrams again. So yeah,
it's big and it does look really cool. And even in its unpolished early versions, it's looking really cool. Mm-hmm. And John says, I assume that Fazal is busy working on those right now, which is why he can't be here now in terms of the TypeScript support. Oh, Fazal is working on all kinds of things all the time at the moment.
Yeah, he's been super busy.
Yeah, I think we've been tapped his brain out for this week. Well, great. This was another nice little short and sweet office hours. If anyone does have anything else they want to add, speak up now. But otherwise, we can wrap up and we will see you again very soon. Do keep an eye on our socials. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Twitter. You can find us on Twitch. You can find us on LinkedIn. You can find us on Mastodon. You can find us on Instagram. We are everywhere. And it's Stately AI, pretty much all of those places. Oh, and Discord. don't forget you can always join our community, which is at, oh, now I've changed the banner so it hasn't got an emoji anymore, which makes it harder to find. There we go, discord.gg/xstate. And there, if you have any questions or you want to show how you're using XState or Stately in your work, please let us know. We'd love to see it. And you can be the first to find out what we have to release there.
Yeah, I love this. I'm going to look so smart presenting sequence diagrams. Yeah, they are extremely useful in understanding how application logic works, and they go really well with state machines. And these aren't going to be your normal sequence diagrams. They're going to be live, updating, and tied to the code. That's sort of our design philosophy, where we want your diagrams not to just be pretty pictures, but actually represent your actual code.
Absolutely. And yeah, it will really help people who are not used to it as well. It's a great way in. Joseph says, thanks for the stream. I'm going to refactor some machines with Cockatiel now and see how it looks.
You should. Yeah, it works in version 4 as well. I highly recommend it.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. We really appreciate it when you join in with your questions and your comments. It makes the office hours what they are. It reminds people that we are actually live. This isn't pre-recorded. We are here right now. So thank you again, and we will catch you all very soon. Goodbye.